Hi guys!
Hello.
So today, welcome to another episode of Woke. I am with Georgia on the Vintage Vision.
Don't call me that, please.
Oh
That's
my
my
god!
ex-name.
Georgia also makes videos on YouTube. I thought it would be very fun to discuss like the different kind of like street culture or like harassment that you get like in London or in Singapore.
I think that street harassment by men in the UK is just, it's a common thing. Like, I would say to women back in the UK, it probably happens to them every day. It's just part of our lives, like.
To all women of all ages, all races?
I can't speak for everyone. I don't think people do it to older women. Like, there's this funny thing where I remember it happened specifically once and my mum was like, oh, I wish they did that to me. And I was just like, are you kidding me? Like,
Mom!
Like, if you got this all the time, you would hate it. It makes you feel so uncomfortable. And it's just things like, if we are walking down the street, if you walk past like a group of guys or a group of builders, like, you just know that it's coming. Like, you just have to expect it.
Do they yell it out?
Yeah. So they'll yell after you.
What do they say?
I don't know, it could just be like, alright love, or it could be like, what's your number, or it could be like more vulgar. Like, I've had a lot of vulgar things.
I experience it a lot, but not in the same way because we don't get catcalled. The only time I've ever been catcalled is when they're standing really close to me. I'm talking like this close and I'm walking by and they're like, oh, 吃饱了没有, 妹妹? I honestly think that that is more uncomfortable than just the yelling. If you yell and if I don't respond, then it's embarrassing for you. I would like to think. I was walking and trying to look for my bag and I was walking along the stretch of like this taxi stand.
Yeah.
And I realized that this taxi was like going at the same pace as I was, which was walking really slowly because I was like trying to pack my bag. I got my old junky chicken wing. Like, I was like, wait, is this taxi following me because it thinks I want a taxi? So I turned to be like, oh no, I don't want a taxi.
Yeah.
And then I realized that he's looking like at my body. He looks up because I turned, right? And then I just like instinctively smile. I'm like, you know, like, no thanks. And then he smiled back, but it was like a really
creepy.
Yeah, it was really creepy. It was like, and then it registered in my head what he was doing was that he was staring at my body. Like, he was really doing like the
And so obviously as well.
Yeah, you know how when they stare and they think like if they stare hard enough they can see your underwear, like that kind of staring.
Yeah.
He reached the end of the taxi stand but I could still walk, and so like I heard him yell like after me.
What did he say?
Like, hey, miss, yelling. And that was like the only time I've had people yelling, but it was bad. I've had other instances where like other cars would really drive that slowly and just look like this and wait for me to look back. But most of the time, like, you get it on public transport,
right,
it's very insidious. They don't catcall you, but they stare and they try and take videos and photos of you.
I've heard that that's very common.
Yeah.
Like trying to get photos up people's skirts and that kind of thing.
And also like off their faces, so they stitch the videos together and then they post it. There's a Telegram chat full of like groups that share like women's upskirts or like hot Insta babes. Those tumblrs are really popular. I'm talking like per post you get like more than like a few thousand notes, and they don't reveal the username of the girls whose photo they've stolen, and they wait for you to comment and give them another like hot babe, and then they give you the name of that. So it's like women are being traded as commodities and we don't even know it.
That's gross. Men
who have bad intentions, who have ill motives, sit next to you, or like I've had men like walk straight into me and brush against my boob. It really sucks, and when you call them out on it they pretend you're not there.
Right.
That's like the worst thing.
Yeah. But like I said to Brenda, like, I really haven't had many experiences with harassment in Singapore, and a few of my Singaporeans and friends have said it's because you're white and people don't find you attractive. Or,
no, that's not
no,
it.
they literally told me that. They were like, yeah, well, Singaporeans don't like white girls. So I was like, oh, okay, maybe that is it. Or they said because you're white, like they don't want to do it, like they're intimidated by you. I don't know, like, but I know other Caucasian girls that have had experiences with it in Singapore, so, but I personally haven't. One time some guy said some stuff to me like down an alley, which was like, ugh. But that was literally it. I haven't really had any bad experiences, but it's been amazing because back home, as I said, like, it happens every day. It's not just like grown men that will do it, like you even get like young boys back home like, it's gross that they think that they can speak to women that way. And they're usually always in groups as well. Like, I doubt you'd ever find guys like shouting after you by themselves. It's always when they're with like a group of like lads, and like they're trying to impress their friends and stuff.
Maybe it's like a case of like the grass is always greener on the other side, but I'm not as intimidated by that because I know that they're just trying to like goof off and like impress their friends, being like, hey, look at me, I'm such a bloke. I don't know, but like in Singapore, when you see like a single male, I've gotten molested on the school shuttle bus. Yeah.
Huh?
Because in NUS, right, the shuttle buses don't come very frequently and a lot of people take them. I would argue that every single student actually takes them, because that's the only way to travel around the campus.
Right.
I got pushed up against the door because like that's how it usually is, like we're packed like sardines. And this guy stood next to me and just like pressed himself against me whenever like the bus turned. I initially assumed that okay, it's because there's no space, blah blah blah, but it got to the point where I realized that like something is definitely wrong. And I wanted to turn and confront him like the moment the big stop like Central Library came up, and I was like gonna like check and see if like he meant what he did, and he just ran off. And it just looked as if he knew that it was coming. All the girls and the women that I talked to in Singapore, they've always encountered it. Have you encountered it? Have, right? Okay, there's like another young woman sitting there editing. You know how it is when they stare at it for like a certain amount of time, right? Or like they hold their phone like this. It makes me feel very uncomfortable. And also it gives a bad rep to every other guy that's not gonna do anything, because I get so anxious on public transport. Like I literally don't want to take public transport because like
because of that reason.
Yeah, because
That's
it happens
weird.
so
Like,
often.
I don't know if I'm just like completely oblivious or I'm literally on my phone. But I just don't notice it. I'm not looking around.
Yeah.
Because it's awkward, so I'm like always on my phone. So they might have done. But also like back home, like if I'm walking by myself, I'll always, if I see a group of guys, or you instantly
just
know it's coming.
Yeah.
Like, so that makes me really anxious. But I just don't have that here. Like if I see a guy walking past, it just doesn't faze me. It's completely different, and I don't know why.
I think it's because
It just feels so different.
like I have seen the upskirt tumblrs and how
Maybe.
they put spy cams in like toilets, and so like every time I go up the escalator I have to worry, I have to check if anyone's behind me. Like I'm just being very paranoid about it. It sucks because I have to be paranoid about it, and the moment I let my guard down and I think, oh, I'm just overthinking, I'm just being extra sensitive, which is a lot of what guys like to say. Like when I complain to my brothers, when I complain to my friends, they're like, are you sure or not? Like you're just overthinking, you're just oversensitive. I'm like, there's no reason for me to have this fear. And like there's no irrational. Yeah. Because it does happen. I've seen it. I've received that kind of the treatment before.
Yeah.
And if anyone is gonna tell me it's because of how I dress, I would like to give you a big fuck you, because it doesn't matter what I wear. On days where I don't have any makeup on, when I look like a slob and I'm like out in my pajamas, I still get it. And it gets to a lot of different women, like really, really a lot. And if you are a woman in Singapore and you don't experience it, you know, for you as well. Like you shouldn't, you know what I mean? Like you shouldn't just discount it. Like you listen to your friends and listen to what they're saying, because either you're not paying attention, which is very dangerous, because if you get caught in a compromising position, there were photos of like this girl hunching over using her phone and like her bra was kind of loose, her shirt was kind of loose, you could see everything. That kind of situation, like if you don't know that that's happening to you, you should pay attention.
But what do you think you should do in response to that? Do you think you should keep quiet, or do you think you should always speak out?
In Singapore, it's very scary. No one is in a good mood when they're taking public transport. Everyone just wants to get home. Everyone just wants to mind their own business. And so like nobody wants to create a ruckus or drama or conflict, and that was always why I never said anything. I've talked to a lot of my female friends about this, and we realized that the best way is just to stare back and let them know that we know. So my friend, for example, she was standing opposite like this girl that she wasn't dressed promiscuously, but she, you know, could see her figure, and this uncle was just like staring straight at her. And so my friend was feeling quite bold that day, and this is the thing, we practice like saying it out in the mirror, like, hey, can you stop, like that kind, because you have to. You think it's so easy, and then when you complain to someone else, everyone's always like, oh, why didn't you just call him out, like you should have just like scolded him. But it's so difficult in the moment, so you really have to
pluck out the courage.
And so she just like stared like this, at the guy until like he turned and he realized that like, oh shit. He stopped staring and then he will like look down and stare back at my friend, and my friend's still doing this. When she left the station, like off the train finally, he was like looking at her and she just like went all the way up to him and just rolled her eyes and just walked out. It was like the most edifying experience ever. Also like taking your phone and doing, even if you're not filming, just doing this back to them, it's not gonna eradicate this kind of response. You're still gonna get like toxic like harassment and that kind of like predatory like micro inflections in public transport, but at least we're doing something about it. Like if you pretend, because I don't like to look back at them because they usually have this really sickening face, like they're enjoying it, or like when we get angry, like they get off on it, and I don't want to give them the satisfaction. But when you do something back like that to them, it almost like puts a mirror in front of their face, like look at what you're doing.
Yeah. I can't relate on the MRT.
That's so strange.
Yeah. Maybe it is because I'm white.
Maybe it's a privilege.
Or
like,
maybe I'm just so oblivious. But of course people stare at me. Of course I see men stare at me. But I think it's because I've just been so used to it.
Yeah,
so
I think
conditioned
so.
my whole life that it just doesn't faze me. Or if I know someone is staring at me, like I can feel them staring at me, but I'm just gonna ignore you. I think that's literally what happens.
I think so too. Because like growing up, right, my dad sent me to and from school.
Yeah.
So I didn't really take public transport. And then my first 2 years of university, I was staying in campus. Only like experience I took was a shuttle bus, and even then I got molested, so like what the fuck. Because then I went to New York, right, and then now that I'm back, I'm traveling from home to school. So every day I have to travel 1.5 hours to and then 1.5 hours back. So that's 3 hours on public transport. Gives you a lot of window to experience harassment, I think.
Right.
They're very open with staring.
No, there was like, I was standing behind my friends, right, and then there's this guy standing over here. So he reached his hand out trying to touch my ass, like he like purposely, I can see his hand, so like I pushed my friend, like we pull back. He moved back somewhere.
Yeah.
Then I ran in front of him and stared at him.
Yeah. You need to stare because...
No wait, then the worst part is when we got off at the train stop, he also got off. He also got off and then he walked to us and then he stared at us like he smiled in this creepy
Yeah.
and then he walked away and then he walked back and then he stared again and then he went. I'm like,
I hate it so much.
It was really bad. Yeah. I really understand.
Yeah. Earlier this week, right, someone at my house bus stop, he looked at me and then he just wouldn't stop looking. And then I got on the bus. He got behind the bus, and then as the like bus stops went by, he started like moving closer to me. And then he stood right in front of me. He was facing me and he has his phone like that. So I was like, okay, I know what you're doing, you asshole. So I got off and I very quickly I pretty much almost ran to the MRT station. I went down and I got on the train and it left and I was like, haha, missed the guy, like blah. And then I walked down the carriage, I sat in like the middle of the train area. 3 stops after, right, I see him walk by, you know, and he's like walking like super near me. No reason why. And then he stands there and then he walks back, no! And then I'm like, I'm out. I just got off the train. I just got off the bloody train because I was like, yeah. I got off the train and then I went in from another carriage. And that's not the first time it's happened, you know. I had someone like, and I didn't even realize, but he was with me, like, how can it be? Like, you were with me in the same carriage in 2 separate trains, and like I moved to the next carriage and he turned to like continue to stare. By the way, I start recording. Do you mind if your voice is in the video? Okay.
But I also had this incident where I got my photo taken and got posted on Tumblr. I remember my friend screenshot and sent to me.
Yeah.
There was this entire freaking paragraph on how my name is Jermaine and how like we had like sex and everything. I'm just like,
Yeah.
Can you report this to anyone?
This is the thing, like there are so many that it's very difficult to report, but they post, I'm talking 12-year-old girls.
But this is illegal, so like why is it not being...
Yeah, exactly, you were 14, right? There are girls that are 12, 13, 14, these are posted directly with hardcore porn.
They should be shut down.
Yeah, they should, because it's glorifying pedophilia. It is what it is,
yeah.
And then the captions are all like, I would love to tie her up and rape her, or like, oh, would love to like her and that. Like that kind of, oh my god, I hope like, okay, I'm gonna like beep. This is exactly what I'm talking about. Like, I feel like, you know how like everyone has different fetishes? The Singaporean, like, okay, I don't want to say all Singaporean men, but a lot of it, if you search Singaporean Tumblr, that's all you see. fetishizing FBTs, which are a brand of exercise shorts.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
I was wearing that.
Exactly. Glorifying school uniforms. Children that are 12, 11, like all the way to like 16, even people my age. I see a lot of my friends on these sites as well. It's so fucked up. Like, they get off on the fact that you didn't give them consent.
Yeah.
That's the appeal behind upskirts, because I'm talking like, you see the wings of the sanitary pad underneath. I'm doing my research, like, I had to go and look at them. I was disgusted for like 4 days after. I couldn't eat. Nah, I still ate, but I couldn't eat properly. Like the cubicles and stuff like that. These women are literally just there to do their business. They have no idea that they're being filmed. It's such an invasion of privacy when you are just literally, you know what I mean? Like a cubicle is like when you let all your fat hang out, you slump, you're like, oh my god, I'm peeing, blah. And these are caught with the face, with your like vagina like all the way in front of the camera. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's so scary and it's so disrespectful and it's so fundamentally wrong.
You go, girl. No, it really is. I didn't know that it went that deep. Like, that's really sick. And I think the authorities need to get involved. Like, why has that not been shut down? Why not? Because like there's so, okay, maybe we should start. You know what, guys, like,
let's all go onto Tumblr
like,
and all start just reporting them. Whenever I tell this to my guy friends, right, they either say, oh, it's not all men, or don't put me in the same position as them, which I understand. Not all men are like that, but you have to like understand that where we're coming from, it happens very often, more often than you think. And when I do say that, I always get like the, it's okay lah, cause you're pretty, you should take it as a compliment. And it's not a compliment because it doesn't make me feel good. It makes me feel like a prey, like I'm not strong enough to defend myself. And that's what sucks the most, because you cannot look at me and respect me as a fellow commuter on a train or a bus, or as like a fellow human being. You see me as straight away as an object for my tits and ass. It basically boils down to respect. Okay, before we end this video, I just got back home and I feel like I didn't manage to say all the things I specifically wanted to say. First things first, I didn't want to make this video such that it sounded as if we're just complaining and then I'm like, okay, well, that's it, we can't do anything, life sucks, it's just the way it is, don't forget to subscribe, that kind of shit. I wanted to make this video specifically because I know there are a ton of people that are either oblivious to it or have become so used to it that they just ignore it. It's very important not to ignore it anymore, because I remember I used to do it. It was easy for me to ignore it because I don't really take the train or the bus every day and I could just, you know, just put it out of my head. But it's been getting worse. If you don't stop it, it will fester and it will get worse and worse, and we need to speak up at this time. There's no other time than now. And I know a ton of you guys that watch me are either my age or younger. We should be doing stuff now to change the culture before we get so accustomed to it that we believe that there cannot be any change. And I'm not being a social justice warrior, I'm just saying that it can always start from us. You can do one of several things. You can stare back, you can tell them to stop if it really is to the point where you feel like you cannot. And if you can't even stare back, you could do the simplest thing, which is get out of their way. Like, move, change your place. It's so funny because after we filmed this video, right, I mean, you're gonna go back to like the bye, but this is post-mortem, okay? After we filmed this video, we left and we took the train together, me and Georgia. And it's so funny because this guy literally just stood right next to her, chest leaning in, facing her. He would be like staring at her and staring at me, and it was very uncomfortable. So what I did was I took out my phone and I filmed him. I made it super obvious on purpose, and then he immediately stopped staring. He looked everywhere else. He looked like, you know, everywhere else. And then finally when I took off the phone, he kept looking to see if I was still filming. And I was like just talking in like a lower tone to Georgia. I was like, you see? Because she was the one that pointed it out to me. She was like, oh damn, like maybe I've really not been aware because look what's happening. And then after that, like when she was about to leave, I didn't feel safe being by myself and being next to him. So I just got out of the train, went into the next like carriage, and then went in again. And then that was fine. So it's small things that you can do like this to actively get out of the situation, or to stare, or to put your camera up in a way that looks like you're filming, even if you're not really, just so that they are aware of what they're doing. Because this kind of behavior cannot continue to go on unchecked. Okay, that's all I had to say. Alright, back to the video. If you want another episode of like us talking about this more, because you know it's like never ending lah, and like no one else seems to be talking about it. Everyone seems to know what's going on.
It'd be good to hear your stories and experiences.
Yeah.
Share them below.
Yeah, what country you're from. If you're from Singapore, then even better, let me know how you feel.
Yeah.
And thank you so much for joining us. Thank you, Georgia.
Thank you for having me.
If you like this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and also subscribe to this channel. Sorry it had to end so abruptly, I can't help it, so also click on the notifications if you want it like hot off the press. Also don't forget to check out Georgia's video. We did a British versus Singaporean education system comparison, so it's very fun. So I will link it in the down bar, just go and click it and see it. And I'll see you guys soon. Bye! Thing. Am I going off topic? I'm totally going off topic. Cancel. Wait. Let me think. I'm just thinking about like. Okay, wait. I have to regroup. Okay, this is another random.
This is nice.
Oh, thank you.
What's your thing?
Yeah. At Go Margaux, y'all slug. Okay.
How long is this video? Like an
It's
hour
really
long.
Oh no, should we end it soon? But I feel like we can talk about
like we've literally been talking for nearly 2 hours.
Oh, I can cut it. I'm sure like people will want to know because there were when I sounded this off.
Oh, like low battery.
Oh dang, we're gonna go
quick,
soon. Okay. I wish it could be a GIF and then I could just be like shaking my head.
I needed like a sickened face, like.
Okay.